Well, now the state itself is overseeing the biggest school construction project ever in our state, and the I-Team has found it's engaged in some of the very same practices it condemned just 2 years ago. Tonight, you'll see why some say that's driving costs through the roof. It is the biggest school construction project ever attempted in New Jersey. The state is spending $8.6 billion of your dollars to rebuild public schools. A lot of that money going for roofing work. It's the first real test for New Jersey's new School Construction Corporation.
Every level, every step of the way is monitored.
2 years ago, the State Commission of Investigation issued a scathing report on school roofing. It found districts wasted millions on roofs that were of excessive cost and questionable quality. Bids were rigged, and key players in some projects had criminal records.
The taxpayer is paying top dollar when they don't necessarily need to be paying top dollar.
The state legislature responded with a new law, putting New Jersey's biggest school project in the hands of the Economic Development Authority, the EDA.
Well, certainly we don't experience those abuses in our program.
But a News 12 New Jersey I-Team investigation finds there are still problems with school roofing projects in New Jersey. Under the state's open records law, we reviewed every roofing project paid for with EDA dollars. What we found raises questions about exactly how much has changed. Is it any better now than it was 2 years ago?
I don't believe so. It may in fact even be worse.
Doug Wicks is a retired roofing consultant, one of the whistleblowers who sparked the state investigation. He says many roofers who once fought against abuses have simply given up.
And they're not even going to try anymore. They're just going to go along and play the game. So in this essence, the bad guys won.
Our investigation found 1 out of every 3 school roofing contracts went to the same so-called premium roof manufacturers criticized by state investigators. One of them, W.P. Hickman of Ohio, was accused of paying architects under the table to get its products used, although no charges were ever filed. Yet our investigation found Hickman roofs were used in nearly 15% of EDA jobs, including this one in Harrison. The state investigation found no evidence premium products are any better, but they are a lot more expensive. This roofer would only talk to us if we concealed his identity. He's afraid by coming forward, he could be cut out of future roofing projects.
Modified coal tars. They can be anywhere from $2,500 a ton to $3,300 a ton.
That's up to 11 times more expensive. And what's in modified coal tar that makes it cost so much? None of the premium roofing companies will say.
I have no idea what they do with it or why it needs to be modified.
Officials with Hickman declined to be interviewed for this report. In the past, they've insisted their products are worth the extra money because they're better than conventional materials. But state investigators didn't think so, and neither do most of the roofers we spoke to. You're dealing with a product that may be 11 times more expensive than a conventional material. Is it 11 times better?
No, and sometimes it's questionable whether it is even better at all.
Why do the premium roofing companies fight so hard to keep their materials secret? Sources in the industry tell the I-Team it doesn't just have to do with what's inside the roof. It also has a lot to do with what's inside state roofing contracts like this one. It calls for material by Hickman or an equal. But how do you prove a product is equal when you don't know what you're comparing it to?
The architect has given the roofer a subtle hint. Do it my way or do it the highway.
This is the design instruction to the builder of the type of material that will be acceptable under this contract. The builder's free to come to us with whatever they believe meets the standard that we're saying here.
All EDA contracts do now include a list of standards another company could meet to be considered equal. That's a big improvement over 2 years ago. Still, of all the contracts we found that specified premium roofing materials or an unnamed equal, the more expensive product always won. Not once did a less expensive material prevail.
The way the specification is written, there is not an equal. You, the roofer, if you want to change it, you have to do all the testing required 2-3 weeks prior to the bid. Submit it. It's an expensive, long, drawn-out process.
Just this year, the state changed its bidding laws. Now, a minimum of 3 companies must be listed for any state job. But roofers we spoke to say there's no reason to mention any names at all. The state, they say, should simply list the standards a roof should meet.
Why even give a hint of a brand name?
2 years after state investigators found key players in the school roofing industry here in New Jersey had criminal records, the state has taken steps to reform the process. All contractors are now screened for moral and fiscal integrity. And if any of them have broken the law in the past, they can be automatically disqualified.
And the Office of Inspector General will alert us and the Attorney General if they discover that a contractor has a principal or the company itself that has a criminal conviction or some other kind of criminal activity in their background.
In 2001, the state rejected so many companies that not a single roofing project got started on schedule. But the I-Team still found 2 approved contractors, High-Grade Insulators and JJD Urethane, who not only broke the law, they pleaded guilty to rigging school roofing bids right here in New Jersey. Yet both were approved by the EDA. In fact, High-Grade won 2 school roofing jobs this year alone worth more than $1 million. Yes, the convictions were 14 years ago, but many roofers we spoke to say it sends a terrible message.
You put the fox in charge of the hen house.
The president of High-Grade declined our request for an interview. So 2 years after the State Commission of Investigation report, where do things stand in school roofing in New Jersey? The state EDA insists it's on the right track.
You know, we're certainly interested in rooting out the problems and trying to make for a better process. We think we have the mechanism to do that.
But at a time when state aid to many school districts has been frozen.
With this budget, we are living within our means and making wise choices that invest in our future.
A time when school districts are asking voters to raise their taxes to avoid cutting programs.
That's absolutely ridiculous. A lot of people around here can't afford it. They're going to have to get other jobs just to pay it, and when is it going to stop?
New Jersey taxpayers continue to foot the bill for some of the most expensive school roofs money can buy.
The big investigation turned out to be a farce. Turned out to be a joke. And it's right back to square one. Business as usual.
If you'd like to know more about how the money is being spent in your school district, these are public records and they are available to anyone. You can also find a lot of them online. Just go to the New Jersey Economic Development Authority's website at njeda.com. And if you have a story you think needs to be investigated, contact the I-Team and give us an I-Tip. You can call us at 732-346-3358 or email us at iteam@news12.com. Tom, Della.
Walt, the whistleblower brings up an interesting proposition. Why not just list the standards? And what many school districts and governmental agencies are doing now is make the builder warrant it, saying, listen, this thing's got to stand up for 10 years. If it doesn't, you're liable for it.
Well, most of the companies do offer warranties of one form or another. As far as making them bid by standard and not by brand name, about the only explanation I've heard for it is that it's traditional here in New Jersey, but as you've heard, many of the roofers say it's time to break that tradition.
Yeah. All right. Well, very interesting. Thank you.